Sons of Sanguinius, it is time to take a look at the Angelic Inheritors Detachment, the brand new way to run the Blood Angels. In this overview, we're going to take a look at the stratagems, the enhancements, and the key combinations that make this detachment work. This detachment is all about the traits of Sanguinius and your characters and character units benefiting from those traits. So join us in this overview and let's see if this will be the new way to run Blood Angels competitively.
Coming up is going to be an overview of the brand new detachment that Games Workshop have been releasing for Warhammer 40,000. We're going to look at whether this detachment is going to be a competitive choice, whether it's going to be one that's more flavorful and narrative, and maybe something that you might want to consider trying yourself, or alternatively, what you need to know and look out for if you're going to be playing against some of these new detachments. Now, to take things a little bit further on our members page, and if you want to become a YouTube member, the link's going to be in the description. You are going to get a list for this detachment, something that's super competitive, super flavorful, and we're going to make the most of what we can do with this detachment. Now, as we always say, we will try and help you use the models that you own, and we're going to give you some top combos that you can introduce into your list to really make the most of them. Now, not only that, but you're also going to get loads of additional members content, whether it's our live members lounge where you can get your questions answered, or even dictate our games that we play on streams on Fridays. And on our masterclass series, we go one step further. We show you the list, we show you how to deploy it, and we also show you some advanced tactics. And the best thing about that is that you're going to understand exactly how every single faction plays in the game of Warhammer 40,000, so you don't get caught out at the tabletop. We're all about helping you feel like you're able to compete at the table, and knowing all that information is going to be one of those steps to ensure that you don't get gotcha momented. So enjoy this detachment overview, and we really hope and look forward to your feedback and some of the best ways to play this detachment.
The Angelic Inheritors Detachment is here for the Blood Angels, and of course we have Jord himself, an Angelic Inheritor.
Yes, I am.
What is this detachment all about?
So the detachment rule is called a Legacy of the Angel, and we get to pick 2 of 3 abilities at the start of every battle. So these are only going to affect as well character units. So our character units are units that are led by characters. So all the units, all models in that unit will get affected by these rules, and also characters on their own. Now, the 3 things we have available to us are, now the first ability that we can pick from is Sanguinary Grace. And this allows all of our character-led units to basically fall back, shoot and charge.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very effective, very flexible. Obviously, character-led units are the ones that need to be in the fight doing what you want them to do for the entire game. So being able to fall back, shoot and charge, you are never tied down with these units. So this is absolutely fantastic. What else have we got? We've got
Carmine Wrath. So this allows us to reroll hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1 when we make an attack. So shooting and combat.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely stellar. I mean, this third one's got to be pretty good to match those 2. Elite units is probably what you're leading most of the time with your units. Obviously, Blood Angels have a host of elite units that are going to benefit from this. Sanguinary Guard, right?
Sanguinary Guard are going to love this ability.
With Dante hit on 2s rerolling 1s?
Yeah.
That's pretty spicy.
Pretty spicy.
What about things like Death Company, though? Because they already reroll hits.
So I think the main thing we need to focus on this one is the reroll wounds.
Okay.
We don't have access to reroll wounds really with Blood Angels, apart from the Combi Weapon Lieutenant on an objective. Other than that, we don't really have access to it. So this allows us to just improve our efficiency on the wound roll. The one thing we are trading for this is obviously Liberator, right? The detachment rule there with the +2 strength and attacks.
Of course.
We're going to lose a lot of efficiency on that, but we are gaining a few other cool abilities. But the last one is called the Appointed Hour. So this lets us basically reroll advance rolls and reroll charge rolls.
Okay. Is there any advance and charge?
No. It's basically you pick the other 2 abilities and just ignore this one.
Right, okay. Because Mephiston's advance and charge, that's it.
That's it, but we don't have any characters that grant that to a unit. I mean, reroll advances is nice if you wanted to get to maybe the first turn. Reroll charges is obviously really nice for a combat army, but it's very situational. You're not really getting the most out of it. I feel it is a massive miss we don't have advance and charge in this detachment. We're going to preface it now because it's obviously not in this one.
Okay, and I think that's going to be a big loss compared to all the other detachments available with Blood Angels as well. For an army that really wants to get in there, there's no movement buff at all. There's no advance and charge. Yeah,
the thing we've got is fallback, shoot and charge, which is obviously fantastic. And like having that on all the character units and the reroll hit rolls and wound rolls of 1, you pretty much just take them in every single game.
Okay, so the detachment rule is all your character units reroll hit rolls and win rolls of 1.
Yeah.
And they can all fall back, shoot and charge.
Yeah.
Perfect.
If we just prefaced it with that, I don't think we'd actually be too sad. We'd be like, oh, it's pretty good, actually.
That is pretty good.
Yeah.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good. So obviously we're going to be character heavy. What enhancements do we have available to put on some of these characters?
So the first one we got is Prescient Flash. Now this allows our unit to scout 6.
Okay. So this is a flashback from Forlorn Fury in the Legends of 9th edition.
Oh, I miss that so much. Letting our Death Company obviously scout up 6. And this just goes on Death Company. Let's be honest, right? You could put it on Vanguard. It's definitely an option because you could just put it to a captain with jump pack.
Yeah. And this kind of makes up actually for the fact there's no advance and charge because your unit basically gets 6 inches of extra movement at the start.
Yeah.
But it is nice to be able to be reactive with it, duck into a building, because sometimes you have quite a large footprint with some of these units, right?
It's going to be similar. If you've played 9th edition Blood Angels, it's going to be a similar sort of tactic in the fact that once you know who's going first, well, if you're going first, great, because now you're just scouting 6, moving 12, and you're charging turn 1.
Yeah.
Like that's basically what this enhancement's for.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really, it's going to be, as an opponent playing against that, you've got to be wary of that, that first turn charge.
Yeah, with a fly unit, it's very difficult sometimes to be able to screen it properly. So that you slam straight into every list.
Yeah.
And on a chaplain. Right,
on a chaplain with jump pack, I would say, yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. So what is the second enhancement?
The next one is called Troubling Visions. So it's once per battle enhancement, and basically your character's unit get all 3 of the abilities from the legacies.
So you have a nightmare.
And then you get given reroll advance and charges.
You get reroll advance and charge.
So I mean, the reroll charges is nice. I guess what it does is it allows you to call once per game you're not spending a CP on re-rolling your charge. But
yeah,
is it doing much else there?
Yeah, I mean, there's still 2 more to go. So if this one is, they've got to be bad for this one to be even worth looking.
The next one's called Blazing Icon, and effectively they can't be overwatched.
Any
character. Adepta Sororitas.
Okay, wow.
So Vanguard can't be overwatched. The Death Company can't be overwatched if you wanted them to.
That's pretty spicy.
And this, I think, this and the Scout is one of the main reasons you take this detachment as an argument over Liberator.
Yeah.
Because of what it allows you to do. And in a meta where maybe Overwatch is going to be seen a bit more because we've probably seen more shooting builds.
Yeah.
This will allow that unit to just travel across the board harm-free and get to where it wants. Then you have fullback shooting charge as well afterwards.
Yeah.
So even if you'd fell back, you can't be shot on the fullback from Overwatch, right? So you've got, there's so many different plays that allow Vanguard to actually get where they need to, hit where they need to. 'Cause I'm definitely putting it on Vanguard if you hadn't noticed. But
I could definitely see the argument for Death Company because they're a lot more fragile, aren't they?
Yeah.
But Vanguard does seem like a good shout as well because they're going to stick around a lot. There's going to be lots of opportunities to overwatch them because they're going to fight, they're going to be able to fall back, charge some stuff. But yeah, that is definitely an auto-include enhancement.
Yeah. The final one is Ordained Sacrifice. So essentially, when your character dies on a 2+, they get set back up with 3 wounds remaining.
Wow. Okay. I mean, you're definitely not taking that other enhancement.
No, exactly.
3 abilities.
Yeah.
I like this one.
It's good. I'll tell you where I think this works best is the Death Company Captain. With jump pack or on foot, probably better with jump pack. But because when they die against a target, they do mortal wounds on death.
Okay.
So you have this bomb of a character that can do some damage.
So my question about him is, does he have OC0?
Only if there's no chaplain nearby. You're going to have chaplains in his army.
Because I quite like the idea of this being an action monkey unit.
Potentially,
that can just stand back up.
Yeah, I mean, the cheapest ones would be like your lieutenants in Phobos armor, things like that. You could definitely put this on.
Yeah, interesting.
So there's some nice options there.
Yeah, cool.
So you've got options. Either if you want to do some damage, because he could potentially do 6 mortal wounds on death. So there is that potential to do it twice as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's got to keep dying, but
yes. Yeah. I mean, even a standard captain, right? Because you've got reroll ones to hit and wound inbuilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can just keep. Yeah.
It's a nice one. I think this one is definitely more so in the realm of if you have points spare, then you put this on. I mean, your idea of obviously doing it with scoring points definitely is more appealing in terms of getting more out of him. Because I don't think you're going to struggle with damage too much in this detachment because we are blessed with some really good combat units.
Yeah.
But we don't really boast too many scoring units outside of the Space Marine Codex.
Yeah.
So this does help a bit, I guess, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, very nice, very nice. So enhancement-wise, obviously we've got 2 auto-includes.
Yeah.
and we've already discussed what they're going to go on. And then maybe we'll include the stand back up if you die.
Yeah.
So let's see some stratagems, and we can see if they're up to scratch.
The first stratagem, Armor Contempt. So
Okay.
it's a bit of a like cool. It's nice to have.
Yeah, and it's obviously been affected.
It's been
by the balance
affected.
of it. It's like, I actually think your best friend now with an army like this is go to ground. You just use that instead.
Agreed. I think it's for Blood Angels particularly, the Armor of Contempt change is massive. Whereas I think armies like Dark Angels and even Space Wolves to a degree have a lot better units in terms of what they can take, and they benefit more from other. Their detachments have like Feel No Pain built in potentially or something like that, right? Blood Angels don't have that, and the units we have are all melee orientated, so it's susceptible to being shot after they've done the damage.
Yeah.
And they need that Armor of Contempt until the end of the phase to still be kicking about afterwards. So losing that is a big change, a big impact. So Armor Contempt, okay, it's nice to have, right?
Yeah.
Focus Fury, this is the next one. This is like basically the default Blood Angel stratagem apparently. We're going to get lethal hits in combat, so it's in the fight phase 1 CP. If we're a character-led unit, we get Lance as well.
Oh, it's the classic Lance lethal combo.
Lethal combo.
Very nice, very nice.
So that's like, it's just a Blood Angel stratagem at this point. But
Yeah.
it's amazing. We needed this, I think, because we've lost the +2 strength and the extra attack. We needed the damage buff through +1 to wound, and also just being able to auto wound as well is fantastic.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, fantastic. What's next?
The next one is called Instance of Grace.
Okay.
So command phase, 1 CP. And what it allows you to do is pick a model in your unit, and it basically gets the character keyword. So you can give a unit that isn't led by a character the character keyword. This does trigger the detachment rule, but it also does trigger other things such as assassination, because you then become a character model, and it does have a designer's note saying that this does trigger other rules affecting character units. So it's a bit of a difficult one because, like, let's be honest, if you do that, you don't know what cards your opponent could draw. So you could give your opponent a very easy card to score.
Yeah, it's just one card out of a lot, though, right? You
It is
don't
one
become a
card.
leader, so you wouldn't split into 2 units for like no prison. For anything that might require you to be killing multiple units.
No, absolutely not. I think effectively what you're looking at here is cool. I get reroll hits and wound rolls of 1
And you can fall
for
back,
CP and fall back, shoot and charge. So you do have it. Basically, is those two tied into a. It's a really thematic one to have actually, because Blood Angels are supposed to be all heroes in their own rights. They're basically the science of sanguinius, right? That's what they are.
Yeah, sure.
So it's just, yeah, I like it, but you're probably building a list to have characters and all the units that need it anyway.
Yeah, yeah. It is good for those units that simply can't have characters.
Yeah.
I know Steve's mentioned Centurions potentially having a character in there.
Yeah.
It has to be an infantry unit or mounted.
Yeah, infantry unit.
You can't make a dreadnought character.
No, you can't make a dreadnought.
That's a real shame. Yeah, okay. Just trying to think of any other.
It's a nice one
potential
to have
units.
to trigger your detachment rule on multiple places. I mean, I kind of expect it in this detachment to trigger the detachment rule, because most detachments have similar sort of like rules, do have a stratagem that allows you to trigger it elsewhere.
Yeah, but someone could epic challenge out your model.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Just kill an intercessor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, okay, fantastic. All right. Well, that is it's a tool in the toolbox, right?
Yeah.
If somebody does manage to precision out a character from your unit, you're still able to now give them the character buffs and they can still act functionally. However, important to note is if you've got a rule that says whilst this unit's being led by a character, that would not trigger because you're not being led by a character. Okay, cool. What's next?
So the next one, this makes me sad, Michael. Strike for Glory. It gives us for 1 CP in our shooting phase sustained hits.
Shooting phase, though.
Shooting phase.
Okay.
It's a bit of a miss, this.
Any unit?
Any units, any Adepta Sororitas units, so good vehicles.
Doesn't have to be characters, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's taken away the exception of obviously character-led units, but it does feel out of place.
Yeah, I mean, the options are pretty limited with this one, aren't they? So you've got Sternguard bricks, potentially, with the new changes, could be interesting.
Yeah. Hellblasters, maybe.
Hellblasters, potentially.
There are ways you can buff it more, like Incursors could give +1 to hit, now you 0-3 roll, fish for 6s. There's ways you can do that, but what I think the issue we've got here is this stratagem is one of those things it's really encouraging you to take a big brick of a shooting unit that you're investing a lot of points into to get out of a stratagem that doesn't fit with the playstyle of the rest of the army.
Yeah.
Now, look, Blood Angels do access shooting units. We have vehicles. We have all of it. You can build a whole shooting Blood Angel army. It's not something you couldn't do. But considering the characters we have, the units, the unique units we have, are all melee orientated, it just feels this one's a bit of a miss. I feel like this one should have been sustained hits in combat, or if that was too much, you could have done, you can't combo with the Lance and Lethal, so you get one or the other. Or you could have done, if it's a character-led unit, you get sustained, and if it's not, then you +1 strength or +2 strength or something, right?
Yeah.
There could have been these options that they could have done differently. It just feels a bit out of place for the detachment.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, interesting. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to be looking at a list later anyway.
Yes.
And we'll talk about whether we've tried to use it or not. What's next?
The next one, this is really good, actually. In the Shadow of Great Wings. So effectively...
Great Wings?
Great Wings.
Heard it on the Great Wing?
No, Michael, Great Wings.
Oh, sorry.
It still sounds like I'm saying
Great Wings.
Great Wings.
Great Wings.
Right, cool. Right, so for 1 CP, in your opponent's shooting phase, you effectively get lone op 18. So you can't be shot unless you're within 18 inches. So this is a very, very valuable stratagem to have for a melee army. Obviously, you can't combo this with Overwatch or anything like that. But it's very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely. You keep that unit from being shot.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Over 18, that's, yeah.
It means you potentially could deploy on the line.
Yeah.
And your opponent can't shoot you.
100%.
Yeah.
One unit can scout out of sight. One can just stay right in front of your opponent.
Yeah. For 1 CP, this is an amazing stratagem. It's something we haven't had access to.
Yeah.
So which again, I wanted to see with this new detachment, actually stratagems we haven't seen before and stuff that allows us to play Blood Angels in a different way, but still in a way that fits the play style of the army. Yeah. And this is absolutely fantastic to have.
Very cool. Very cool. What's our last stratagem?
Onto the Burning Skies. Now this is 1 CP. At the end of your opponent's fight phase, you can pick 1 jump pack unit and it can be removed from the table and go back into strategic reserves. If it's a Sanguinor, he can do it even if he's in engagement range.
So there's a specific stratagem calling out the Sanguinor?
Yeah. But he can just jump off the board, so he can come down.
Gets his own little stratagem.
Yeah, it's really cool. You can combo it with his ability. Comes down, does his heroic savior thing, kills some dudes, and then just goes back and just goes somewhere else.
That's pretty cool.
Obviously, one thing to caveat is you can only use his ability once.
Right, yeah.
So you can't keep using that ability. Yeah. But it's a very, very strong thing to have, even with just jump pack units. Because, like we said earlier, your army builds into jump packs, right? Your Death Company can do it. Your Vanguard could do it. Your Assault Intercessors with jump packs. Your Inceptors.
Yeah, Inceptors are looking really interesting with this strategy.
Yeah.
Because as you said, Oath doesn't mean a huge amount to Blood Angels players.
Yeah.
Because you don't have very many good targets for it. But actually 1 brick of Inceptors, especially with the points drop, and with people potentially not putting as many deep strike denial assets in their army, you do have that 6-inch deep strike. Kind of go wherever you want. I think a unit of Inceptors does look very interesting.
I think then with bolters though, not plasmas. I think the plasmas are too risky, and we don't need the elite infantry killing weapons. What we need is mass killing weapons. Because we have
lost the extra attack from Liberator.
So we want to get like big brick of 6 with your sustain 2, which again we don't need this sustain strat because we've got it already built into this detachment or this data sheet. Reroll all hits, and you just literally blap a unit off the board, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, even if the meta changes, you can easily switch to plasma and then use the sustain strat. You've got options with this unit, which is fantastic. Yeah. But yeah, I'd definitely iron up a unit of these.
Yeah, definitely. I think overall, the stratagems are good.
Yeah.
Bar the sustain one's still good. It's still good, but
still Space Marines.
Overall, I do think that this detachment has some really, really nice plays to it, and I think it's going to feel very different to Liberator. I think it's a much better one than Angelic Host, personally, because I think we've got the damage buffs in this one, which is what Angelic Host missed. So we've now got all these damage buffs. Reroll wound rolls of 1 as well. It's just insane. Like, it's so good for this army.
The consistency of this army is going to be massive.
So I am very interested to see if this can stand up against the current meta where we're seeing vehicle spam lists and all these sort of stat check armies, right? If this army can still deal with it. I think we need to build into lethals. Like, we need to build like Lamatis as a standout in this detachment, I think, as well. And I think Dante's Brick and some Vanguards. You're going to be basically taking the similar Liberator list, but with a few bigger bricks rather than MSU builds.
Right. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So we've got a list. You've written a list for us that we're going to have a look at over in the members section. So you can obviously subscribe to our membership using the links below. If you've got any thoughts on the Blood Angels, any particular combos potentially or units that you think maybe we've missed and could be included in the list, then feel free to comment below and of course like the video. And with that, Jordan, let's take a look at a list and we'll see you in the next video.